I had to dig up a lot of videos about Gowon, so they will be scattered, but I'll try to piece two and two together to get people to understand some sort of analysis of what I've noticed about this whole thing. So I'm going to start with the one where he did 50 years after independence. He was interviewed and he talked about what led to the war. Let's listen to it.
And from Ojukwu, he says, "On Aburi we stand." And I say, "From Aburi you will fall."
Here's an interesting line I wanted to read, the last paragraph. In effect, Gowon had thus taken the power up unto himself to deal with Ojukwu whenever he pleased, how he pleased, and as long as he pleased. Now, let's not forget that somewhere here, Ojukwu did not attend that meeting because he had earlier rejected the draft of that decree, which made mockery of the Aburi resolution. So the memo Akenzwa did on Aburi. Akenzwa, along with top permanent secretaries, including Alhaji Yusuf Gobir, Philip Asiodu, Ime Ebong, B.N. Okabwe, and Alison Ayida, constructed in Lagos all that was agreed upon in Aburi. As Akenzwa now wrote a memo to Gowon that he has given too much away in Aburi and that it will lead to the deconstruction of the country. He further added that Gowon has legalized total regionalism, which will make the center very weak. Prince Akenzwa alluded in his memo that a weak center will lead to confederation and total disintegration of the country. Meanwhile, Gowon could be heard saying this right before the war.
If force is used, Major General Gowon, will this not increase bitterness between the various races in Nigeria?
It might, to start off with, but I don't think that this is a thing that will last forever. I'm sure the present generation and the generation to come will be better friends than the ones in the past.
Can someone then explain the persistent Igbophobia?
Do you think you can limit force once you use it?
Indeed. In fact, what I have done, I've told in fact, my troops that they are not fighting a total war against an outside enemy. They are only taking police action to crush a rebellion. Therefore, the force that will be used will be just the force necessary to get the job done.
Meanwhile, this same person, his response to the recent pulling away or indication of Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso to pull away from ECOWAS is different from his response to when Biafra wanted to pull away from Nigeria. Watch this.
Yakubu Gowon has called on ECOWAS authority of heads of state and government to lift sanctions on Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger Republic. Gowon, who is one of the founding fathers of ECOWAS, made the call in an open letter to the heads of states and the ECOWAS member states in Abuja.
So he respects the leaders of those three nations, Assimi Goïta, Traoré, and the other person, enough not to ask ECOWAS to invade. Does it mean he did not respect Ojukwu enough to prove his power? Was that war a show of might? Let's listen to this.
And I was posted, appointed as Adjutant General of the Nigerian Army. Well, that is where the principal staff officer dealing with administration, discipline, and promotion, etc.
Okay, under the colonial.
Yes, and then Ojukwu was we were promoted at the same time with Ojukwu.
Are you serious?
Ojukwu, he as a quartermaster general.
It gets interesting, right? Follow this.
Why do you think Ojukwu left Biafra? Was it because he was a coward? Was it because he felt that he stood in the way of a settlement?
Well, your guess is as good as mine. The foreign press that seem to know him better than we do, than I do, seem to give him all sort of excellent quality, so much above, in fact, than the rest of us. Ojukwu, the gallant chap who said, "I will fight to the last man, and I will be the last one, that will fall." What a pity! How are the mighty fallen, and in such a cowardly way. If he has done a Hitler, probably we could have thought, he's at least a man of courage. He didn't do a Hitler. Hitler took a poison, died, and ordered his body to be burned up. At least because he had, he knew what he has done. Ojukwu ran away and left these poor people that he has led into such, suffering, such abject position.
So now it's Ojukwu, but I thought it was him.
If force is used, Major General Gowon, will this not increase bitterness between the various races in Nigeria?
It might, to start off with, but I don't think that this is a thing that will last forever.
Anyway, there's this very interesting piece we should also look into.
At the end of July, we had another crisis, which cost the life of the general officer commanding because of the so much mistrust among the cross-section of the army officers, especially on regional basis, the north and the south. The question of trust because of the loss of many officers that were so dear to the men, the men and women in the armed forces. These young officers decided, we do not want anyone to give us leadership, but me.
Let's see what he had to say about that first coup.
After that course, I came back and, then within 36 hours of my arrival, yes, a coup took place. And all my colleagues, that we came from the same school, May Malari, Koro Mohammed, Abogo Larigema, Yakubu Pan, and were all all killed. And that one senior officer at the time, a colleague of mine who was the same set, an Igbo officer, he too was killed. Arthur Unegbe, he too was killed. I was the last one standing. So that is how the military came into power.
The interesting thing is that it's the same people who came to him to tell him, we want you to lead us, we don't trust the South, when he talked about the mistrust after the second coup, that ousted him in a coup. They took the time to plan while he was away in Uganda for peacekeeping, Organization of African Unity.
Gowon had departed Nigeria to attend the summit of the Organization of African Unity in Kampala, Uganda, in his capacity as head of state of Nigeria. While there, he received the news that his government had been overthrown at home in a military coup executed by some senior military officers, most of whom were his friends.
They sure I'm shaky, but cannot be trusted.
The news of his overthrow was broken to the world by Gowon's kinsman and commander of Gowon's Presidential Guards Brigade, Colonel Joseph Garba. Garba and Gowon were close friends. They were both from the present-day Plateau State. Garba was an active participant in the July 1966 counter-coup, which saw to the overthrow of Ironsi and the eventual enthronement of Yakubu Gowon. He served as a commander of the Guards Brigade, an elite army unit saddled with the responsibility of providing security to Gowon. But Garba gave his reasons for the overthrow of Gowon. One of the reasons was that Gowon did not make any meaningful progress in his promise to return the country to democratic rule. Gowon kept changing the transition date, and this did not go down well with the military. Garba's role as an insider in Gowon's administration was to ensure that the coup was bloodless, and indeed, the overthrow of Yakubu Gowon was without the spilling of blood.
The time they took to plan that coup, couldn't they have taken it to plan to install civilian government? So their intentions have never been pure from the beginning. Murtala Mohammed, T.Y. Danjuma, and those are the ones that did not go to Aburi Accord. They were not in Ghana. So I think Gowon was either used or just delusional, or he was just unrepentant. But for sure, the certain thing is that he was inconsistent. Because with Ojukwu, he wanted to show might. We could hear how he was bragging about it. But with the Traoré, Goita, and the other president of Niger, he is calling for peace talks. Why is he not sending ECOWAS to show force like he used Nigerian army to show force against the Biafrans? Well, I just had to do that. You guys have taken like 6-7 hours of my time again, but that's it. I hope this clears up the air about this whole thing. Sometimes it's good to piece 1 and 2 together and then make your analysis. You see that there's a lot of inconsistency with Gowon and with the things he has said. He's been inconsistent. In one case, he's blaming Ojukwu for taking people to war, but in another place, he's heard saying he's going to use force. Please.